The Sterling Heights Hotel in Santa Monica was a place of unmistakable grandeur. Framed by towering palm trees, its entrance gleamed under the soft glow of strategically placed lights, and its lobby was a spectacle of luxury. A sprawling chandelier, likely worth more than most homes, adorned the high ceiling, casting shimmering reflections onto the polished marble floors. On any given day, the hotel bustled with activity, but tonight, a Friday evening, it was particularly lively. Travelers moved through the lobby with purpose, bellhops maneuvered luggage carts, and soft conversations filled the air. Behind the front desk stood Rachel, a woman in her mid-30s, known for her confidence and efficiency. Her normally crisp uniform bore signs of a long day, subtle wrinkles, and a faint smudge on her sleeve that she had stopped trying to hide. After 12 grueling hours of juggling demanding guests, last-minute room changes, and irate phone calls, her patience was threadbare. Her only consolation was that her shift would end soon. As she adjusted her name tag, the automatic doors of the lobby slid open, and a man walked in. At first glance, he was unremarkable. Dressed in faded jeans, scuffed sneakers, and an old hoodie, he carried no luggage, only a leather messenger bag slung over one shoulder. His scruffy appearance stood out in the otherwise polished environment, and Rachel instinctively braced herself. "Good evening," he said, his voice calm and steady. "I'd like to book a room for the night, please." Rachel forced a polite smile, though her irritation was bubbling beneath the surface. "I'm sorry, sir, but we're fully booked tonight," she replied, her tone brisk but professional. The man tilted his head slightly, a faint smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Fully booked?" he asked, his voice carrying no frustration, only curiosity. "Yes, sir," Rachel said, tapping at her keyboard for effect, though she already knew the answer. "All our rooms are occupied." She gestured toward the busy lobby to reinforce her point. "There's a motel a few blocks down. They might have availability." For a moment, the man said nothing. His calm demeanor didn't falter, but Rachel thought she saw a flicker of amusement in his eyes. "Thank you," he said finally, stepping back from the desk. Instead of leaving, however, he settled into a chair in the corner of the lobby, his gaze occasionally drifting toward the front desk. Rachel's irritation grew with each glance in his direction. Who was this man? Why hadn't he left? She tried to focus on her work, but his presence was unsettling. He wasn't doing anything disruptive, just sitting there quietly watching. Hours passed, and the lobby began to empty. By 11 p.m., most guests had retired to their rooms, leaving Rachel with a lighter workload. She glanced at the clock, eager to finish her shift. But just as she began to relax, the man approached the desk again.
"Excuse me," he said.
"I noticed a few guests checking in earlier. Are you sure there's no room available?"
Rachel sighed, her patience snapping.
"As I said earlier, sir, those guests had reservations. We're fully booked." The man nodded thoughtfully, his calm demeanor unshaken.
"I see."
"And if I wanted to make a reservation for tomorrow night?" Caught off guard, Rachel hesitated. "Tomorrow," she repeated.
"Yes," he said.
"Is there availability tomorrow?" Reluctantly, Rachel checked the system. "Yes, we have rooms tomorrow. But that doesn't help you tonight." "That's good to know," the man said, smiling faintly. Rachel's irritation flared. "Look," she snapped, "if you don't have a reservation and can't afford to stay here, maybe you should try that motel I mentioned." Her eyes flicked over his hoodie and jeans, her implication clear. The man's expression remained calm, though his eyes darkened slightly. "Understood," he said simply. He returned to his seat, his composure unbroken, and watched the lobby in silence until the early hours of the morning. The next morning, Rachel arrived at work feeling groggy but relieved that the strange man would likely be gone. As she walked into the conference room for an unscheduled team meeting, she noticed an unusual buzz among the staff. The general manager, Mr. Calloway, entered, followed by a tall man in a tailored suit. Rachel's stomach dropped. It was him, the man from last night. "Good morning, everyone," Mr. Calloway began. "I'd like to introduce Mr. Elon Sterling, the new owner of the Sterling Heights Hotel." The room fell silent. Rachel's heart pounded as the man, Elon, stepped forward. He looked around the room, his calm gaze landing briefly on Rachel. "Last night, I had the opportunity to see this hotel in action," Elon said. "I wanted to experience it as any guest would, without special treatment. What I observed was enlightening." Rachel sank lower in her chair, her face burning with shame as snippets of their interaction replayed in her mind. "I saw dedication and hard work," Elon continued, "but also moments that reminded me why kindness and attention to detail are so important in hospitality." He didn't mention Rachel by name, but his words felt like a spotlight. Her colleagues glanced at her, their expressions ranging from curiosity to sympathy. After the meeting, Elon approached Rachel. "Rachel, isn't it?" he asked, his tone calm. "Yes, sir," she stammered, unable to meet his gaze. "I know last night was a long shift for you," he said. "But remember, every interaction matters. People notice how they're treated, even when you think no one's watching." Rachel nodded, her throat tight with regret. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "No need to apologize," Elon said, his expression softening. "Just learn from it." Over the following weeks, Rachel worked tirelessly to improve. She greeted guests with genuine warmth, listened attentively, and approached each interaction with renewed purpose. Elon's quiet observation had left a profound impact, not as a reprimand, but as a reminder of the power of kindness. The story of the mysterious owner became a legend among the staff, but for Rachel, it was a turning point. She no longer saw her job as just a paycheck, but as an opportunity to make a difference.